Like pathogens, cancer cells evolve ways of evading or suppressing the immune system. In fact, the immune system is quite effective at suppressing most abnormal cell growth. And so cancers, almost by definition, consist of that tiny fraction of abnormal cells that have managed to evade or suppress the immune system. Cancer cells have the same genotype as the other cells in the body, so they are modified self. That means that they pose a special problem for the immune system, which is not supposed to attack self. The immune system has many mechanisms that will ensure that it doesn't attack self. Immune responses to cancer are an attack on self cells that have pathological characteristics. They have inappropriate metabolism, inappropriate growth, or inappropriate movement. The immune system consists of sets of cells, each that have specific functions that are coordinated by multiple signals whose meaning is interpreted by specific sets of receptors. So that is the enemy of the cancer cell. Cancers evade that enemy. They evade the immune responses by disrupting those cells, those signals, and those receptors. Those are the same options that are used by pathogens. So, to begin, most tumors are eliminated. Some survive but are kept under control, and a few escape but progress to cancer. Elimination is done by recognizing and killing, and that's done by both the innate and by the adaptive immune system. Some cancers escape elimination but remain small because they're kept under immune pressure. They're not clinically detectable. We each contain many such precancerous growths. Escape and progression to cancer results when the immune system is either inhibited or no longer effective due to mutations in cancer cells that are altering their properties. So how does cancer deal with one major enemy, the NK, the natural killer cells? They're part of the innate immune system. They can react to pathogens and to tumors quickly, with or without priming by antibodies. They have a repertoire of receptors that ensures self-tolerance while allowing reactions to pathogens and to cancer cells. NK cells are thus a major problem for cancer cells because they are activated when triggered by signals from distressed or transformed cells, and they then kill them. So here we see some of their biological functions. Here is a healthy cell, and if it has DNA damage or is being transformed by mutations into a tumor, or if it has an internal cytoplasmic bacterial infection, then it becomes a stress target cell. So it changes shape, and a natural killer cell can then cause cell lysis, and it can coat this cell. If the cell has been coated with antibodies, it will signal to macrophages and to T cells, and they can then eliminate the distressed target cell. It can also present antigen. The natural killer cell can present antigen to a dendritic cell, which then can go into a standard dendritic T cell recruitment cycle, and that will lead to the recruitment of T cells that eliminate the stressed target cells. So NK cells are involved in eliminating stressed cells that are either killed directly by lysis or indirectly by activating T cells and macrophages. The natural killer cells, the NK cells, need to integrate a number of signals to determine how they're going to respond. They have activating signals, and then there are also signals that suppress them. And they have receptors for both sides. So it's a balance of plus and minus. And these are MHC receptors, okay? So they are activating and inhibiting receptors. Natural killer cells attack cells that are downregulating MHC1, and they attack cells that are expressing stress signals. So it is a balance of a number of different kinds of signals coming into receptors on natural killer cells that result in their attacking and killing. How can this autoimmune response be subverted by a cancer cell? there are certain Treg cells, the CD4 plus, CD25 plus Tregs, that suppress autoimmune responses. So they inhibit immune cells that would attack self, that would attack cancer. Tumor cells secrete a cytokine, tumor growth factor beta, that converts these Tregs from plus minus into plus plus. They thus convert a population of immune cells that would otherwise mediate attacks on them into cells that are ineffective, thereby evading immune surveillance. Neutralizing tumor growth factor beta derived from tumor cells blocked this conversion, and that essentially meant that the immune system remained capable of attacking the cancer. Tumors can also modify their metabolism in ways that suppress cytotoxic or antigen-presenting cells. So they can modify their metabolism so that they can interfere with the defense mechanisms being deployed against them. They deal with low oxygen by upregulating glycolysis. This lowers the pH in the tumor microenvironment. So you should think that of both oxygen becoming scarce and the environment becoming more acidic. Tumor cells are then directly competing for glucose with glycolytic immune cells. So they're taking away the food from the immune cells. The lowered pH interferes with the maturation and activation of cytotoxic T cells and antigen-presenting cells. So they are slowing the growth and differentiation of the immune system that would attack them. So two hallmarks of cancer, which are altered glucose metabolism and immune suppression, may be linked together. The upregulation of glycolysis is producing a cascade of effects on the cells of the adaptive immune system. So cancer cells are increasing. Their glycolytic pathway is causing pH to drop. It's also inducing angiogenesis. The T cells are being downregulated by that. And there are interferon gammas that are a cytokine produced by both the natural killer cells and by the cytotoxic T cells. Interferon gamma activates macrophages and modulates the differentiation of T helper cells and regulatory T cells. So if the pH is dropping, then interferon gamma is being suppressed, and this process is not occurring. The hypoxia-inducible factors, the HIFs, are transcription factors that respond to decreases in oxygen in the environment. The vascular endothelial growth factor, that's VEGF there, is a protein signal that stimulates angiogenesis. And the MDSCs in the diagram are myeloid immunosuppressive cells that increase up to 10-fold in cancer patients. So this is a pathway where simply by altering pH and suppressing the secretion of certain factors, cells can be recruited that in fact suppress immune response, thus protecting cancer cells from attacks on the immune system. So part of the defense of cancer against attack by the immune system is simple changes in the biochemical environment and in the nutritional environment of the cells. Now, tumor cells also downregulate expression of MHC1, but they don't downregulate it too much. Viruses also do this. Some downregulation allows them to avoid the adaptive immune response that comes from cytotoxic T cells, but continuing to express a low level of MHC1 protects them from an attack by natural killer cells. These are mechanisms that are quite similar to the ones used by viruses to avoid detection and destruction. So this is convergent evolution that's hit upon both by viruses and by cancer cells to keep from getting killed by cells in the immune system. To summarize, Most precancerous growths are detected and destroyed. Some remain, but they do not grow and are not detected. Those that escape and progress to cancer are the ones that are either suppressed or that evaded immune surveillance. They can do so with several mechanisms. They can disable natural killer cells. They can subvert the autoimmune response. They can modify their metabolism to interfere with the immune response. And they can downregulate the expression of MHC1. Thus, they resemble pathogens in their manipulative ability or inappropriate movement. The immune system consists of sets of cells, each that have specific functions that are coordinated by multiple signals whose meaning is interpreted by specific. Like pathogens, cancer cells evolve ways of evading or suppressing the immune system. In fact, the immune system is quite effective at suppressing most cancer cells have the same genotype as the other cells in the body, so they are modified self. That means that they pose a special problem for the immune system, which is not supposed to attack self. The immune system has many mechanisms that will ensure that it doesn't attack self. Immune responses to cancer are an attack on self cells that have pathological characteristics. They have inappropriate metabolism, inappropriate growth, abnormal cell growth. And so cancers, almost by definition, consist of that tiny fraction of abnormal cells that have managed to evade or suppress the immune system.